So we are officially live.
Yes.
Kind of officially live?
Kind of, sort of.
Oh, now we're going to move it. Yeah, we're coming back in frame. So we're here, we're there, we're everywhere. Let me try and get Pili in here because no one's here to look at me.
While Jason fixes this.
Good. Are you there? Okay, let's move back. All right, so happy Monday. And this is Second Cup of Coffee. I'm Jason.
I'm Pili.
And we are ready to get this started. Kind of ready. Yes, we are. All right, so we are live. Are you here, there, everywhere?
I'm here.
Good. What are you going to do if they ban TikTok?
Oh, actually, it wouldn't affect me too much because I just go there to use the editing services, and it's a little fun. I've made some friends, so I'm going to try and get those friends to pop onto Instagram. But
she'll be decimated.
The world won't end.
So back to real life, where we need to be talking about today. Happy Monday. Hope
Everyone
you guys are crushing
TikTok,
it.
though.
Yeah, I think they do because I saw just the mass chaos of this. People begging and pleading because their entire life and job are supported on it. But on that fact, we are here. It's Monday. It's
Monday.
Time to get moving. And Monday is weekend recap.
Yes. Oh, what a great weekend.
It was. So weekend for me, we just came off our 3-day challenge, which Pili wasn't in, but it was outside of our comfort zone. Of course, she's always in, but I just stepped on the floor just to break things up, just to make it go out there and say, ultimately, this is going to be something that's interesting to do, right? And so it's always just bringing up that pattern, so you don't get into these habitual things where you just accept what's given, and you learn to get yourself back to appreciate these things. The great things is that night one, I had one kid jump on. Luke basically jumped on the floor, and he went all the way through till today. And then the next day, I had Luke and Lily. And then last night, I had the almost 2-year-old in 2 days jump in, and he was trying to figure out the floor thing. But this is really him outside of his crib. So then he understood and realized he had access to mommy. And that kind of ended the flow of that because he was up and down. He was trying, right? So he was trying.
He tried. I actually invited him to just stay with me in bed a couple of times, but he basically would climb onto the bed, give me a big kiss, which for Leo, it's doing this.
That's the lower lip touch, but
so lower lip touch, and then he'd scramble back off the bed and go lay down. And then all of a sudden I hear scramble. This happened at least 15, 20 times before he was like.
Well, he slept well through the night, so it was well worth it. But let's get into what we can do beyond this just to test ourselves. Because sometimes we just get in a pattern where it's just, we accept everything and then we forget how easy it is to miss and just be grateful for things, right? So
grateful to you.
Grateful to you too. And for that, what are some other things you can do? You could take a cold shower for 3 days in a row. You could fast for even 1 day. Just actually skip breakfast for a couple days. Sleep on the floor. Sleep outside in the sleeping bag. I said cold shower. Yeah, I was gonna say because that's always a good one right there. That you can do that just really breaks up that pattern. Drink all fluids for a day. Get out and make 50 calls. You usually maybe try to make 50. And you can't stop until you make 50. Do that 3 days in a row. There's so many ways that you can just break up your pattern. So when you get yourself back to what you were doing before, you can just really appreciate it, right? So that bed's going to feel good tonight. Although it actually has been feeling good. I forget I've done this a few times, but it's always good to sleep on the floor too. The first night you're like, okay. The second night, and the third night you're like, that was great.
It's all about stepping out of your comfort zone. That's why I know we're gonna be talking about this probably for the rest of our lives. 75 hard. Hashtag 75 hard.
I did meditate outside in today, which was also a break from the pattern. It was, yeah, it was. I was trying to keep the dogs inside and outside, and then on that fact, yeah, it was great. And then I jumped in on 75 hard, but I just want to put that out there.
No, because I was actually doing my meditations using Calm, which is a meditation app. It's a guided meditation app that I've been using. But then I found that I actually get a better meditation when I walk outside and I'm in our garden and that's being taken over by pumpkins. And it's amazing. And it just kind of centers me and puts me into that spot. So back to 75 hard. This takes us out of our comfort zone. Jason and I have been doing it for the better part of the year. We are on phase 3, and phase 3, it looks really hard on paper. And I was thinking about this, and this has happened to us every single phase. And this happened to us a couple of days ago where we were just like, this kind of sucks. I'm a little angry and I don't have enough time to do all this stuff. And I'm just going to take it out on myself, take it out on those around us. And this is like a moment in our like day where we were just like, there, you could feel the tension. You could feel it. And all of a sudden, like Jason and I just had to center ourselves again, realize, come back from a place of gratefulness, which is super important. Whenever you feel yourself sliding into regret, or if you're chastising yourself about something, or if you're sliding to anger for like, especially if it's like no reason, then remember gratitude. Find 3 things that you can be grateful for out of like in the moment. That you have to be more cognizant. You have to be super cognizant when you're angry, and you have to want to take yourself out of that anger. So once you want to take yourself out of the anger, I find the fastest thing to do is to name 3 things that you're grateful for. So that's my little push on 75 Hard. If you haven't done it, look it up. It's amazing. And I also know some other people. Jillian Sidoti and Jeff Holst, they're at Last Life Ever. They're actually doing their own challenge. I think they're calling it hashtag 40 kindness. I'm gonna get it wrong. I meant to
give us
get
the
right.
pist. Right?
It's basically 40 days, and it's 4 separate things that you have to do. One is like 45 minutes of bettering yourself. Another one you have to do like a random act of kindness, and then there's 2 other ones. But go into Last Life Ever, look it up. It's a hashtag, and they have their own Facebook group. It's a great group. You should jump into it. But before you do that, jump into our group.
So here is how you can eliminate those excuses. And it's actually prime, because I was actually just writing about this today for what we're doing for our book. And so really,
we're writing a book, by the way.
Yes, we are. And it comes out in 30 days. We're going to have it done. We're actually less than that. We're almost there. It's time for editing. Now, great part here is that, okay, you have an excuse, right? First thing is to say, is this actually an excuse? Do I need to do this and I'm just making an excuse? Or does this just sound good to me? Lots of times we have these great things like I should start an e-commerce company, or I should go, learn to swim 2,000 meters. Or I should write a book. But if it sounds good and you don't want to do it, well, then get rid of it, right? Because now you need to have space in your head for the excuses you need to battle with, not the excuses that just sound good. So the next is identify, is this something I want, or is this something that just sounds good? Okay, so you've got there, right? And so now you've eliminated everything that just sounds good and gone on to the point of, okay, this is what I need to do, but I still have excuses. Next is think of the polar opposite of what that excuse is. So I don't have enough time to go to my kids' recital. Now becomes, I wish I had more of these to go to, right? Because now you can just eliminate that part, that gap in the middle. So every time I work out, it's hard to do. Instead of, this difficult experience of me working out is making me grow, or I keep making bad decisions in my business, becomes I am learning so much from making all these decisions that are helping me learn what success looks like. Change all that around. Now bridge the gap, right? Now bridge the gap in between and put what is on your focus that you're saying that you can't do, make that the number 1 priority, and then fit everything else in that you told yourself you had time for, and see what still remains. You don't have time to go to every recital. That's the only thing you're going to do right now. And you need to figure out everything else you need to do in your day to make it there. And you know, we're going to find out the thing that is important, of course, you're going to do, and everything else that needed to get done is going to get done. And the things that you erase actually didn't need to be done in the first place.
So I was just listening to Jay Shetty. He has his new podcast called On Purpose. And he was talking about just that, like what you focus on. If you focus on the negative, if you focus on the I can't, then that's where your mind is going to go. Your mind believes the things that you tell it. So if it's in your mind's going to believe it. So and Tony Robbins calls it transformative vocabulary. Transform the vocabulary, the words that come out of your mouth, the words that you keep in your head, your talk track in your head. You, oh listener, need to make that choice. You can listen to us gab all about it and tell you be positive and think more positive thoughts, but you have to make that choice. You have to make the choice that you're going to tell yourself that you're going to make better business decisions, that you're going to tell yourself that you can work out twice a day, 45 minutes each, and make one of them outside. There's so many times I tell people about 75 hard and they're like, oh no, I can't do that. I don't have the time. I was like, okay, you just don't want to do it. They're like, no, I don't have the time. I'm like, no, you don't want to. You don't want to. That's fine. But the thing is, that's the thing that 75 hard makes you realize, that if you don't want to do it, that's fine. It's fine. It's actually might be really good for you. But you need to see that it's a choice. It's not an I can't because of some mysterious somebody telling you that you can't. It's you telling yourself that you can't.
Well, it's become like a badge, right? I don't have a time becomes like, oh, I'm so busy, right? Okay, yeah, there's a lot to do. But again, if you take a moment and step back and look at your day, look at your calendar, what is happening in that day? What is it? And it's the things that we just don't want to face the reality of, okay, let me just write down my day. What did I do today? Oh, I was on Instagram for 2.5 hours. I was not non-business related, right? If you look at something in that component, well, there's your time. I, talked on the phone for a call that could have taken 10 minutes. For some reason, I let it carry on for 30 minutes. And you can set these things up, right? So if you get into it, one of the best ways to frame a call is say, hey, so great to jump on you. I'm glad we'll be able to knock out these points. I only have these 13 minutes to get knock out this call. I have to jump into something. So I'm just going to dive in there. I hope you're okay with that. And the other person understands, right? They're going to get into it because we all do this knick-knack and this talk, and nobody remembers this little soft talking beforehand.
Another thing, and you do this a lot, I want to be respectful of your time. So I've blocked out these 10 minutes. Give it a time block, lead the conversation. Most people want to know what time they have, and they honor that. So begin with, I'm honoring your time and I'm blocking out these 10 minutes and let's focus on this topic and let's go.
Yeah. Okay, we're all in COVID. I don't need to hear the word unprecedented every time again, because everybody starts to call, I hope you're doing well in this unprecedented time. We're all, yes, okay, just say, hey, hope you're doing good inside. You're like, but this point about having to put these words in there and just streaming along the beginning of this conversation, and all of a sudden now we're 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes in, take that 2 minutes across 10 conversations per day, there's 20 minutes, or do something out to the point where you have all this little chit chat where you can get to the point a lot closer if it doesn't actually matter to the story.
You know what, I want to hit on something with that, because if you start off all your conversations like that, I know you think you're being magnanimous, you think you're being sympathetic. But if somebody's on a business call and maybe they did just lose their grandfather or their father, and maybe they're not going to want to talk about it. So you asking them that might put them in that state, and it's not on you, it's on them. But the thing is, you're not helping the state. So if you keep the question and answer, especially if you're on a business call, you're trying to get this done in a time block, keep it on topic. Say those things. Hey, I'm super honored. I'm super happy that you are on this call with me. Thank you for giving me your time. Done. Jump into it.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me your time. That's something that you can honor. I think that's the best thing that you can say to anybody, because
there's niceties to, of course, you be nice, be respectful, but you don't need to waste time just to act like you're fulfilling this thing that really has no purpose in there. And sometimes I think we're trying to what would be the right word? We're trying to gloss over having these nice things that we think we're supposed to say. When everybody gets it, we're both on both sides of the call. Everybody feels it. It's a lot like writing too, right? Sometimes you try to explain so much, but it's assuming the other person needs all these details, right? So if we were to go here and dissect things to every little detail throughout, well, you don't need that through the story. You're trying to get to the gist of the story. What is the thing that's bringing me back to want to be here to listen? You don't want to hear this robust thing about all the details of, the trees. There were 17 trees, and of each tree, half of them had leaves and the other half were decay. Things that aren't building the story shouldn't be there. It's the same thing. Let's push forward our point and find what is the biggest purpose here and get rid of our excuses.
Flip side of the coin, though, if you do ask, be prepared for someone to actually talk to you. If you ask somebody how they're doing in this unprecedented time, you're telling them, I am here to listen to you unload. And that is fine too. If you came onto this call, and I'm actually going to put it as part of my 75 hard challenge, I'm going to start calling random friends just to see how they're doing. And it could be like a quick, 10-second phone call. I'm fine. Great. Just want to check in with you. Great. Bye. Or it might be this like 2-hour thing where we like talk and converse and really get down deep. But too often we ask, how are you? And we don't really mean it.
Or you don't, or you ask without listening to the response, right?
Yeah. So really listen. If somebody actually responds to the how are you, respond back in kind. Listen, and then respond back in kind.
Yeah. So if someone says, how are you? And you say, absolutely horrible, see if they'll actually hear you, right? Instead of it's just a passing, right? But in that, it started as something to be a conversation starter, right? And so we're so busy onto the next thing that everything becomes gray today that we forget the magnitude of what is the purpose of what we're doing, right? What it grows into our life, and finding the fulfilling life. That is what we're trying to really focus on here, right? This is tactile advice for a fulfilling life for those reasons. We want you to find your best life, and that can be in so many different ways. Getting your time back is always on people's highest list, but why can't we get there? What is it that's keeping us from getting there? And is it a choice for us not to get our time back? Is that what it is? Or are there other things that need to change in our daily course? And right now, you're going to say, oh, it's not a choice, but is it? Because we're putting all these things on our plate that aren't crucial to what is our big goal. So maybe it's the looking around at ourselves and just taking a look outside of us. If we were to stand there looking at us, right, in this parallel universe, if we were standing outside of ourselves looking at what we're doing, would we think that the things we are doing are prime importance?
I mean, that's everything right there. And we passed the 15-minute mark. If you are working out, then awesome. You are past 15 minutes. If you're working out for 30 minutes, come on back, or, kind of like get your groove on because you're at the peak. Or if you're doing 45 minutes like Jason and I, keep on going.
So go over to URCholdings.com. You can sign up for our newsletter that's going out on Mondays. It's awesome. You got all kinds of things in there that really can help you find your fit, rich life, everything. So things that we're learning, things that we're working on, things that we're using. But go there. You can subscribe for the newsletter. And yeah, it's on to our second week. It's been a great response, and we're psyched.
It's been fun writing this.
Yeah, it's great.
Super fun. So, you know what? How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm excellent.
People, you don't always realize that Pili and I, we have our agendas for the day too. So this sometimes after the morning is our first time coming back together because she's downstairs with the kids or vice versa. And we're each apart. So it's always a nice time for us. So it's like we're scheduling date, 5 days a week. All right. We are so thankful for you guys. Remember, hit that subscribe button. Share this with your friends. Share this with your network. It does a ton of good for us. It helps us reach more people. And we love being here with you guys. We will see you. When do we see them?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Do you want to